I'd like to start off by acknowledging the traditional custodians of the land on which we meet, the Kalkadoons, and pay respects to elders past, present and emerging. I'd also like to acknowledge any First Nations people who are in attendance today and pass on the same respect. Sorry. Just to let you know that this ordinary meeting of Mount Isa City Council may be live streamed and recorded in accordance with the Council's recording of council meetings policy. As a visitor in the public gallery, your presence may be recorded. By remaining in chambers, it is assumed your consent is given if your image is inadvertently broadcast. Do we have someone to do the prayer today? Do we have a councillor keen to do the prayer?
Yep.
Thank you, Councillor Coghlan.
For today's prayer, just do my favourite, the Lord's Prayer. So in the name of the Father, the Son and the Holy Spirit. Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power and the glory forever and ever. Amen.
Amen.
And the Father, Son, Holy Spirit. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Coghlan. That takes us to number 3, which is apologies and leave of absence. I believe we have a leave of absence from Councillor George Fortune. Would anyone like to move a motion that we accept Councillor Fortune's leave of absence?
I will. I move that we accept Councillor Fortune's leave of absence as he is conducting council business elsewhere.
Thank you. Can I get a seconder for that motion?
Seconded, Coghlan.
All those in favour? And that's... Oh. Councillor Tully, you might have to... Yeah, thank you. Just, we can't see you, so if you just give a yes, that'd be great. Thank you, and that's carried. All right, then this now takes us to item 4, which is public participation, and I'll kick off. I've got a couple of people who said they'd like to speak, and that's Godfrey Kreutz. Can we get a microphone to Godfrey?
Thank you. Good morning, Mrs. Mayor, executive officers, councillors. First, I'd like to thank the council that I was able to see the simulcast of the Queensland Symphony Orchestra, which was quite nice, so thank you for that. I'd like to leave my service request standing because there will be next year 3 or 4 simulcasts as well, and I would like the council to please have them also simulcast, as well as a tour from the ballet company coming in March. If that could be advertised early, would be very happy. My questions. Breakaway Creek, crossing there, some big rocks have been shifted forward and backward. Forward to block it off by the council, and backwards again by the people who like to drive over there, and I just shifted the rocks aside. I noticed that the council put a slightly larger rock there 3 days ago, Friday I think, or Monday morning, but it's still not satisfactory. I got told that you were going to do some concrete work there because the pipe barriers hadn't been successful. Any news on what the council is going to do?
Well, thank you for sending your question through earlier, so we were able to do some background. And I've got Ross Pitt here. He's our manager, and he's going to give you an update. Can we just get you to use a microphone, if that's all right, Ross, just so that people at home can hear the answer?
Good morning. With Breakaway Creek, we are programming to do some concrete works in there. But at the moment, there are a lot of other works that do have the priority, and we have limited supply of contractors that are available to do those works. It is programmed to be done, and it will have to be assessed so that we can put something in that's actually going to stop the access as required, but still maintain access for fire purposes. As there is a fire break that runs through there, where QFES has to have access through there at all times as well. So it's a fine line to working out the best way to halt the access of undesirable traffic, but still maintain access for the traffic that we need to get through there.
So when should I ask again? 6 months or a year?
No, I'm hoping you won't need to ask again. I'm hoping that I can program it and get it done sooner rather than later.
Thank you. I have a second question.
Sure.
I put in a request to change the signs at the parking lot at the PCYC. It's the way it's set up there, it's a silly setup. Outside the swimming pool and the skate park, any car parking there can drive out wherever. They can turn left, going to the Irish Club, or they can go into the city, whatever. Once driven into the PCYC car park, every traffic has to go around the copper smelter roundabout, and then through the traffic lights and so on.
Yeah, and thank you.
In my opinion, a normal give way sign would solve that problem.
And thank you, and I believe you put this question to us a couple of months ago, and one of the things we were informed of is we actually need probably a bit of a master plan for the whole area, and we don't want to put up a quick fix with a sign that could lead to a traffic accident, and then that makes council liable. So, you know, we do acknowledge that, and I personally, every time I leave the town pool, I have to go all the way around, do a U-turn, come back all the way around, so I'm well aware of, you know, I've seen people cheat because all you have to do is cross a double line and you're off and on your way. So it really does need reviewing, but we would like to do a proper plan of how we could fix that area so it is safer for starts, but easier for residents. So it is something we're addressing, but it's unfortunately not going to happen anytime too soon, unfortunately. But did you want to add anything, Renee or Ross?
Let me say one more thing.
Okay.
You said about double line. Nobody in that whole area has to cross a double line to get into the right traffic. The outlet from the swimming pool as well as the skate park, there is a gap in the line work where traffic can safely and officially leave those car parks.
I'll have to check that because if that's the case, and I've been doing that whole long round for years.
You used to get out there easy.
Yeah.
But now there's only one written sign saying no exit.
Yep.
I don't know why whoever put it there hasn't put an official sign up there, the triangle,
Well,
saying no exit.
I'll just
Now,
can I get Ross
the
to
last
just-
one.
Yep, sorry.
I'm sorry.
Can you have the microphone? Is that all
Oh,
right?
sorry.
'Cause
2
otherwise
weeks,
you can't
2
do
months,
it
2
fine.
months ago, when I brought this problem up, I got told that I would be advised within a month of what's going to happen. I still haven't got an answer. I hope I get it now.
Possibly, if you're around town, we have some traffic counters that have been put out. Now, we are currently looking at a plan for a lot of the town to change a lot of intersections, exits, etc. It's a VRUP program. So basically it counts the amount of traffic flow on each road, and then that has to be put through to TMR, especially for out in front of PCYC, as that is a TMR controlled road out there with Department of Main Roads. So because that enters out onto the Barclay Highway down through there, so that's a TMR controlled road. So any signage that is placed by council has to be in consideration with TMR's road rules as well. So we can put applications, which we have started to do for a lot of roads around town, into TMR. Then they will get back to us with what we can and can't do. Usually it has to go to a designer and they need the count of traffic. So to put a giveaway or a exit or entry sign straight in, we can't just do that unless we have a proper traffic count of how much traffic goes in there. Because if there is an accident, whether it's caused by the sign or not, it brings into a certain amount of liability for council and for the community. So we are working on doing what we can in the near future.
I hear and understand what you're saying, but I'm talking about a parking lot internal one. I'm not talking about access to the highway or the street. This is only a give-way sign. What I'm proposing was to put a give-way sign to get from one parking lot to the next parking lot. The handicap buses, 8 out of 10 cars that are parked at the PCYC just drive out there now.
Fair enough, and that's a good point. We have to look into that more, what has to be said. And with what's happening now at the family fun park, and with more traffic entering and exiting that car park area has to be planned to make it more efficient. So we are looking into that and working towards it with our master plan for that area.
Still leaves my question why I didn't get an answer within the month.
Godfrey, I'm really sorry that didn't happen. What I might do is I might get the answer that we've given you, plus maybe even some loose timelines, and actually send you a formal letter, if that's okay. And I think we've got your address.
It's fine, but I understand now what's going on.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm happy. If you would like to send an official letter, it's fine. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I understand what's going to happen, and I will not follow it up until something, like 3 months from now or thereabouts. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, and one of the things I found being in local government is everything takes time, and that's one of the things I've discovered is that I think it's local, state and federal, as much as you think, oh, it's just a matter of doing X, Y, Z, it never seems to be like that. It seems to be you have to do all this other stuff before you can do X, Y, Z, and yeah, welcome to local government.
I've been here 57 years in Mount Isa. I know it well.
Yes.
It took 45 years to get a water meter for a block of land relocated. It took 1.5 years to have road reflectors changed. So I'm used to waiting.
I get your frustration.
I think it's my duty, if I see something is amiss, to bring it up to council. Council can decide whether it should be done or should not be done, but I would like to be informed.
And Godfrey, I really appreciate you coming to these meetings and speaking up, and I think it's really important that residents do come along to our meetings and put forward complaints, ideas, anything you like, because this is why we're elected. We're elected to be your voice for the community. So we do need to hear this, and last Friday in every month we have Couple with a Councillor, so that's another opportunity to come and have a chat. I won't be there this Friday, but I think one of the other councillors will be going along. But it's it's really important you do this, and we don't see it as anything but positive that you're coming along. And yep, if we haven't done the right thing, then please do read us a Right Act. We want that's great.
Thank you.
Thank you. We also have someone else who's registered, John Lane. Hi, John.
I'm John Lane. I'm a retiree hygienist, and I also hold a A-class asbestos licence. Now, I feel that the public should be made more aware of the asbestos. You have a program out the front here with some quite good here. I walked past it the other day, and I feel if it was put up on the wall where someone could see it as they come in, they might be paying a dog registration. Oh, have a look at this, we'll take one home. I made an important point last time I was here that the council made a GPS out at the dump within a certain radius. That's where your asbestos material is buried, and also your contaminated waste for future generation. That's to cover your own backside, because Maryborough dug a hole. Whoops, they found asbestos. They didn't know it was down there. There's no safe depth of burying asbestos, but as long as it's covered within 10 minutes when it's taken out there. Some of the dumps, Cloncurry leaves theirs wide open for quite a while, but I believe that Mount Isa's doing the right thing out here. But I'd like to see maybe on the rate notice, asbestos awareness obtained at head office on requirement, or maybe on the back of envelopes, like the you do when you pay your registration. There's always a little slogan on the back there. Maybe something like that could be done, a rubber stamp or something cheap. But I walked past what you had out here the other day, and one of the staff pointed out to me, so if it could be highlighted a little bit more, that's all I ask. It's pretty simple, and we'll just keep it to that. But I feel that the average public, if you go out and ask them in the street, do you know where to obtain anything about asbestos, they wouldn't have a clue what you're talking about. And you may have no asbestos in your yard, in your house, but a person who's doing renovations next door the fibres can drift across. And I pointed out last time that if you were bringing asbestos down from the ceiling, you punch the nails through and bring it down in one piece. If you don't PVA glue around the top of the nails, that can float for 9 hours before it hits the floor. Asbestos is 50 times thinner than a human hair. And I don't think people are aware of how dangerous it really is. If you Google Whitten Noon, which is in Western Australia, you'll find out that the town's been taken off the Gazette. It's a ghost town and it's a real eye-opener. If you look up Revelations 22, you'll find that crocodile asbestos is one of the most precious stones in the Bible. So in its natural form, it's all right. But when you take a sheet of fibro down, it becomes broken, it becomes fibre, and that's when it's dangerous. So I'd just like to make that point that I think the public should be more aware. One way I have suggested, on the back of every envelope or on the rate notice or something, just one line where they know they can come in here and find out that there is information available, which is quite good. You have enough out there. But that's all I've got to say.
Thank you, John. And do you know if we do have a national awareness campaign going on at the moment, or a Queensland campaign?
I don't know if there is. There probably would be. I don't know.
Because I think everything you said is so valid, and I always worry for people who are in trades where there might be an electrician crawling through a ceiling, or and these houses, especially in places like Mount Isa, where they're, some of them are 60, 80 years old, and why asbestos is, supposedly safe, why it's not, interfered with, it's still a risk, isn't it? So we definitely have like newsletters and things we put out, but they're like one-offs. So I'll find out if there's anything we can do where it's more, a constant reminder, because it is something that, is in the back of my mind every time, we're thinking of renovating or anything. Oh, is that asbestos? But yeah, I'll find out. First of all, I think I'll see if the council officers can check if we have a national, any awareness that's national or Queensland, and maybe we should get involved in that as a council. And also, if there is anything we can do, like you said, with our rates, notices, or anything that's going out to the community where we can sort of highlight some of the risks and some of the dangers, yeah.
Well, yeah, the way I see it, if it's on the back of an envelope or something like that, the grey nomads will pick that up and they'll take it all around Australia, and the other councils down south will probably do the same thing. It is a national problem we have with asbestos, and the home handyman's not doing it the Australian Code of Conduct, and there is a problem there that's got to be sorted out later on through state or whatever. But at the moment, everything's been pretty well according to the Australian standards. But I've got no more to say on the subject, just to make that you are aware of it, and hopefully you've taken that GPS coordinates out of the dump, and within a certain radius, because it will cover you 50, 60 years' time. You'll know that the asbestos is there. And what makes me so on about the awareness was that in Dighton Street a few years ago, that bloke blew the house up and his 2 children, and that affected all of us. Remploy, the whole lot, because we had to go in there, make the house safe before demolition, and all of us had children the same age or grandchildren, and it was very, very moving that happened. And I was surprised they built a house over on top of it. That should have been left vacant, but anyhow, money speaks all languages, and no, there's a very sad thing to happen, especially in 2 little ones.
Yeah.
But anyhow, won't take up any more of your time.
I think there's no doubt that rock Mount Isa.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you, John. Really appreciate you taking the time to come today and, just point out something that we should all be really mindful of. Thank you.
Just through the chair, Mayor,
So sorry, I'll just say it on the microphone. So the 30th of... Okay, so there we go. So in November, the whole entire month is National Asbestos Awareness Month. So maybe this is where we can play a big part in that for the as a council. Yep. Yeah. Thank you, John. If you want to stay back after the meeting and have a chat to Ross, or even go outside now and have a chat to Ross about, we're definitely open to ideas, and we really appreciate you coming along. Well, Ross can have a chat to you outside if you. No, he's not, unfortunately. I'll get Ross to have a quick chat to you now, and even if you want to leave your details or come back, we'd really appreciate it. Thank you. Thanks, John. And I believe we've got another someone else from public participation. Welcome. I'll just get you a microphone.
Good morning, all. This is the first time I've ever been to one of these. And why I came was I was wondering if,
Before you start, can you just give us your name? Just your name.
My name?
Yes.
Lorraine Chapman.
Hi, Lorraine.
Yeah. And why I came was I was wondering if the council could paint, the garden beds and the car park in front of the PCYC, because I volunteer and do all the gardens. And who owns the gardens?
That's a good question. We just sent Ross put outside, but is it PCYC? Yeah.
Yeah, okay, because I buy all the plants, all the fertiliser. By the way, I won the Volunteers Award. But, if the council have a special paint, they did it for me about 6 years ago, that lights up, because the people drive up over the garden beds into the garden.
Oh, okay.
And I was just wondering, because I think it would have been about 6 years ago, they were painting, the parking squares. And I went out, but I had to go out along Duchess Road to ask, could they paint,
Get the garden.
so it's safe for them when they drive in and they drop their children off, they end up in my garden. Or, when they're taking off. Okay. That's the only thing I had to bring up, was to, because, I like it to look nice.
Yeah. Well, thanks, Lorraine. I'll find out if that's it, if we can do that. So we'll.
Yeah, if you could, and, just go through Amy PCYC, because she's lovely to deal with.
Yeah.
That's all I wanted to know. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Lorraine. Really appreciate it. Thank you. One of the things I forgot to do is we need to move a motion to allow Councillor Tully and Councillor Phil Barwick to attend the ordinary meeting. Would a councillor like to move a motion, please?
I'll move a motion that Councillor Mick Tully and Councillor Phil Barwick be allowed to attend the meeting via Skype.
Zoom, Teams.
Zoom, Teams.
Thank you. Can I get a seconder for that motion?
McRae.
Thank you, Councillor McRae. All those in favour? And that's carried. Okay. Thank you. I'll just adjourn the meeting now, and we have a couple of presentations to make on behalf of council. So I'll get up and do it. Today's the day not to have a I just don't remember adjourning before, but can I move a motion that we adjourn the meeting so we can present some certificates for casual for a cause. Someone would like to move that motion?
McRae.
Can I get a seconder for that motion?
Stratton.
All right, and all those in favour? Okay, thank you. Yeah. Yes. Okay. I should be able to do this from my desk because we don't have any recipients present right at this moment. So every Friday, the staff wear casual clothes and they all bring in a gold coin donation or a donation of their choice. And today they are donating to the North Queensland Animal Rescue of $220.85. They do a lot of great things in the community. They do pet fostering, they're financial assistance for rescued animals, they have adoption initiative, they have a matchmakers project, which is very interesting, and a shy cat project. So very worthy cause, and thank you very much to the council staff. The next one we have is for Man Up, and I have Jill on Teams who wants to speak, so we'll have her. I've got all the information here, but I might let Jill provide it. But the council staff are donating $250.45, and this is not the first time we've donated to Man Up, so it's wonderful to have Jill. And Jill, I'll hand over to you.
Oh, I'd like to thank everyone very much for thinking of us. As you know, we do a very large regional program all around prostate cancer and the need for regular testing. And the council, we did some work with you when we were up there towards the end of last year. And hopefully we'll be back again in 2023 and we can expand the program to do more work with council and perhaps even some back there working with the line, and we loved our time up there, and we're very
Well, thanks, Jill. It's great you've taken the time to come in today, and it's initiative by the council staff, which I think is something we're all really proud of. That this is their idea, and they choose who they want to donate to. So, and it's great to hear from you because there's a lot of great non-for-profits and charities that are doing a lot of great work in our community, and it's nice to hear about that. Thanks, Jill. All right, so now we need to, would a councillor like to move a motion that we now move back into open meeting?
McRae.
Thanks, Jill. Thank you, Councillor McRae.
Stratton.
Seconder for that motion. Thank you, Councillor Stratton. All those in favour? And that's carried. Thank you. Okay. So that now moves us into item 5, which is a confirmation of the previous minutes. Would someone like to move the officer's recommendation for the minutes of the ordinary meeting held on the 21st of September 2022?
I can do that. I'd like to move that the minutes of the ordinary meeting held on the 21st of September 2022 be received and the recommendations therein be adopted.
Thank you. Can I get a seconder for that motion?
Stratton.
Thank you, Councillor Stratton. All those in favour? You're too slow, Deputy Mayor. Thank you, and that's carried. That takes us now to item 6, which is the outstanding actions from a previous council meeting as of the 21st of October 2022. Would any councillors like to move the officer's recommendation?
I can do that. I'd like to move that council receives and notes the outstanding actions from previous council meetings as at the 21st of October 2022.
Thank you. And can I get a seconder for that motion?
Stratton.
Thank you, Councillor Stratton. All those in favour? And that's carried. Okay, now that takes us to item 7, which is the declarations of conflicts of interest. Does anyone here have a conflict of interest?
Neil?
Neil.
Nil.
And I have a conflict of interest in item 14.5. All right. Oh, and I will be leaving the room. Thank you. Okay, that takes us to item 8, which is the Mayoral Minute. I just thought I would update on the LGAQ conference that myself and Councillor McRae attended last week now. That's gone very quick. Council actually put up 4 motions, and the first motion, which was the which we call the LGAQ, on the state and federal government to provide a detailed information on the services that are funded in each local government authority and an annual basis. That went through. The LGAQ calls for the state government and Queensland Treasury Corporation to support the development of local government housing projects through the provision of business planning resources. We put that through with Councillor Coast, and that went through. The LGAQ calls on the state and federal government to assist local government in diversity in its service delivery to support financial stability. That one went through. And the LGAQ calls on the state government to investigate the establishment of a councillor conduct review panel, which was yours, Councillor Tully, and that did not go through. One of the things I did do is last year we stood up at the LGAQ conference and we said that Mount Isa City Council had spent $200,000 in 1 year investigating councillors. I corrected the record and let them know that at that point we hadn't spent any money investigating councillors. We had spent over a 4-year period $200,000 investigating our own employees. So I passed on my apologies for that. One of the things I got to do when I was there, I was on the panel for the country universities, which was really fantastic because I got to sit next to mayors who had already had a country university up and running. Some were in the early stages, some had had it running for years. And it was really good to hear their advice and how it was really impacting and in a positive way in their community. Got some great intel on things we could do to, so the mistakes they've made, they sort of were very happy to pass on what we did well and what we could do differently, which I thought was fantastic. Yeah, so it was, got a lot out of that, so it was really great. And yesterday I had a chance to catch up with Qantas, and they were really open to ideas on how we can, work with places like Mount Isa and ideas on how we could, for us the challenge is the actual price of airfares. Are you okay, Councillor Coughlin? Okay. For us it was, airfares is a big thing of livability in Mount Isa, so we had a good discussion and they were very open to ideas, which is fantastic. The other thing that I guess is on the minds of everyone at the moment is we had our CEO leave the organisation, and I just want to let you know today we will be appointing an interim CEO, but we have got an acting CEO at the moment, which is one of our directors, and we're hoping to have that appointment here within the week, so that's really good news. And that's my Mayoral Minute. Can I get someone to second my Mayoral Minute?
Through the chair, I'd like to call a point of order on the comments made about the panel to the independent assessor. I was present and I did hear you make that apology for us providing incorrect information, but I'd just like to know where you got that information from, because I know myself, an investigation into myself cost $12,000, so you can't say there was nothing spent, and time is money. Even internal investigations cost money. It has to go against a cost centre, so nothing happens for free. So I just want to know about that information that you provided.
That is great. I'm really glad you asked that question. So last year in October 2021, I was provided statistics by David in March, which I did pass on to all councillors, and I think we had a very sort of robust discussion on email, that at that point we had spent no money investigating councillors. So when you got up to speak at that conference, we hadn't spent not $1. We had, however,
Sorry,
spent
when I got up to speak?
at the LGAQ conference on 2021
Oh, yeah.
and moved the motion. So we hadn't even spent $1. We were under, and we'd gone to the media, we'd gone to a parliamentary inquiry, and I think it's quite embarrassing, and we'd said, hey, we spent $200,000 in investigating councillors. When the truth was, we'd spent $200,000 over a 4-year period investigating our own employees, and that's very different with the OIA and CCC. They're two different bodies, and it's sort of, so that's why I thought it is something that went into the media, it went to a parliamentary inquiry, it went to a conference, and it really needed addressing, and I believe I've done that and I've apologised, and we just need to move on now.
Yeah, I debate the facts about that, and I won't be seconding that motion.
You received the spreadsheet. I can give you the date and time.
So any investigation into a councillor costs money, whether it's internal or external. So if staff spent money investigating...
No, they hadn't. As of October 21, we hadn't used any external people to investigate.
Internal still costs money.
What I'm saying is we hadn't spent any money externally, and we certainly didn't have $200,000 worth of internal investigations with our own staff in 12 months, which is what you said at the conference.
Sorry, you said we'd spent zero money on investigations.
We did. We spent zero money. If you want to put council time into it, we're certainly happy to work that out, but that's not what we said at the conference. We didn't say that at the conference. We said, and I think you highlighted that with investigators and things like that, and that just hadn't happened.
Yeah, I said we'd spent $200,000 on investigations. I didn't specify internal and external. Everything
You
comes
did
at a
actually.
cost.
You did actually. I've got a recording of it, and that's why I really needed to apologise, because you actually said within a 12-month period.
I think you actually apologised for our at the hearing. I don't think you actually apologised for what I said at the LGAQ conference.
I wasn't. I was apologising on behalf of council. I didn't mention your name. I don't believe it's your fault. I think you were given incorrect information from the CEO. And we all believed that we had spent $200,000 on investigating councillors in 12 months. And that's why it was said time and time again in the media, when we actually hadn't spent any money at that point externally investigating. And that's a fact.
I think we need to move on.
Can I get a second for that motion?
Yep.
Yes, Deputy Mayor. Can I oh, sorry. Sorry, there's a time delay. Keep going. Thank you. No, you'd think that, but no, that's not the case. So what happened was we hadn't spent any money investigating councillors. And in fact, all the complaints went straight to the OIA. They investigated them if they did, or they dismissed it. So we actually hadn't even spent time on those. Nothing had come back to council for us to investigate. All the OIA complaints that had gone in prior had been had been dismissed. So,
But through the chair, they still have to be investigated, and
No.
it still takes time.
so if you have an OIA complaint against you, sometimes you'll get a letter back saying we've dismissed it. So the council's had to do nothing. And at October 2021, that's the position we're in. We had spent no money investigating councillors. You got, all councillors received the spreadsheet.
Even if the...
Councillor, I think we should move on. Does anyone want to second that motion?
No,
No one wants to second that motion?
no.
Okay, so I'm happy to lay that live, but I will send you out the spreadsheet again. But I think, councillors, it's embarrassing what happened, and I think we have to acknowledge it, apologise, and just move on.
I don't think what you're saying is correct.
Councillor, you received the spreadsheet. It is correct.
No, I don't believe it is.
You don't, the spreadsheet came from the CEO.
We did spend money on investigating
We
councillors.
didn't. I've got a spreadsheet to say we didn't. We spent money after the October 2021. Yes, definitely. In fact, we started spending money in March. That's when we really started spending money against councillors. It started in March 2022. Happy to send that spreadsheet out to councillors though. Obviously, I thought you were all aware. We've had this discussion. I'm surprised you're doubting it.
Through
But,
the Chair,
I'll
I didn't
send that
agree with
through.
the last discussion, and I don't agree with it now. Just because you say it often enough, it doesn't make it correct. I think we need to move on.
I've got a spreadsheet from the CEO of Mount Isa City Council with all the listed of expenses, and as of October 2021, we hadn't spent any money investigating councillors. Now, I'm happy to move on, but I don't want to be told that that's not true because you've received a spreadsheet. So you could actually put yourself in a code of conduct breach if you're saying now you didn't receive the spreadsheet. All right, let's move on. Let's let that lie. Let's go to item 9, which is the reading and consideration of correspondence, which is 9.1. Okay, so would someone like to move the officer's recommendation for correspondence report for September 2022?
I'll move the recommendation that council receives and accepts the September 2022 correspondence report.
Thank you, Councillor Coghlan. Can I get a seconder for that motion?
McRae.
Thank you, Councillor McRae. Any comments on this one?
Yeah, through the chair, I just want to ask about 2 letters that were sent out by yourself on the 21st of September in support of applications for the Skilling Queenslanders for Work Application Work Skills Traineeships, but it's to the same thing, but there's 2 different organisations, but I don't understand the second one, how that works in Mount Isa.
Well, have you been to Red Door in Cloncurry?
No,
It's
no.
fantastic. So if you're going past Wagon Wheel, take a right, and then a left, and you'll see it's an old squash court, and all you'll see is this red door in the middle of nowhere. And if you go over behind, it doesn't look like anything much. And once you go in, there's this amazing coffee shop, and it's staffed by kids with problems. Now, one of the things that's happened is we've got a lot of Indigenous kids in Mount Isa that are too ashamed to do some of the programs in Mount Isa. So they have been taking up opportunities in Cloncurry with Red Door. So I'm very aware of that. So I think, we may be able to, I believe we may be reciprocating with some of the Cloncurry kids in some of our programs, but I definitely know some of our Mount Isa troubled youth are being looked after with this Red Door program. So I think it's really worth us supporting this initiative.
So what percentage of children get employment out of this?
Apparently, that they've got a huge percentage of kids that go on to get further education, but further employment. And it's just giving them that confidence of how to work a till, how to use the EPOS, how to make a coffee.
But we haven't got any figures. There's no
No,
figures.
and we're certainly not giving them the funding. We're just saying we're throwing our support behind the initiative. And
So-
with youth crime the way it is, and any program that's trying to get kids upskilled is got to be a great thing.
Yeah, we just have to know that the programs are going to work. Because as everyone knows, Mount Isa is a melting pot for organisations to be given money through funding, let me finish, and they don't reach their KPIs, yet they seem to be kept giving money the following year, and our problems are getting worse and worse.
Well, Red Door's been there for about 5 years now, and it's tremendous. And if you want to go to Cloncurry and have...
No, I don't want to go. All I want to know is, I want to know figures, that's all. So if you could supply us with that,
I can arrange to get you
Yep.
some figures.
that'd be good.
Again,
And the same for the
I'd
other
like you to go and have a
organisations.
look, because you are the youth portfolio councillor, and I think these initiatives are fantastic. And if you went and had a look, I think it might be something you know, you can see the benefit there.
Yep. And the other organisation that's applied for it as well, is it the first time they're running this, or is this a program that they've done before? Are they trying to start up what's happening in Cloncurry?
Young people ahead have run a lot of programs since I've been here, so you might be able to tell me more because you've been a councillor previously. But yeah, what they do is they get kids' driver's licence, find their birth certificates, and get resumes, and try and get them so that they can actually apply for jobs. Because a lot of times these kids haven't got computers, so it's having that driver's licence. Just all the things we take for granted, they get support with so they can apply for jobs.
Right, thank you.
Any other questions or comments on this one? All right. All those in favour? Carried. Thank you. That takes us now to item 10, which is the Councillor Summary Report, the Australian Mining Cities Alliance Minerals Week, Canberra, the 5th to 7th of September. Deputy Mayor, I believe this is yours. Would you like to move the motion?
Yes, thanks, Madam Mayor. So I'll move the Council to and summary report from Deputy Mayor regarding Australian Cities Alliance Minerals Week held in Canberra on the 5th to 7th of 2022.
Can you get a seconder for that motion?
Stratton.
Would anyone like to speak on behalf of this, Councillor Phil Bowick?
Yeah, thanks, Madam Mayor. So, thanks for letting me know my report. I just want to out a couple of things. I led the delegation to Canberra on behalf of AMCA, and we engaged considerably with parliamentarians down there as well as other people. It's all outlined in the report. I would just like to add, hoping everyone can hear me okay, that
through the chair.
we'll probably...
Deputy Mayor, you're just breaking up a little bit.
Deputy Mayor, do you want to try and take the video off and see if that helps with the audio?
Okay, is that any better?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, so I believe AMCA's probably achieved its highest levels of advocacy to date during this year. It could involve recognition by parliamentarians of the AMCA. And this bill was to advocate for mining communities about consultation about the implications of the climate change bill, which was recently passed. And so I've got to talk about the from the government, and also that made some other notes that I think are worth reading. Happy to take questions, thanks.
Thank you. Where are we up to with, you know, we're trying to do salary sacrifice for buying homes. Is that gone anywhere with the advocacy?
It didn't. It was raised during the federal election quite considerably. So the continued advocacy campaign, and it's made its the tax department, as I understand. So they're doing it. So there's more updates on that. I'll very soon I'll pass you on the details for that here.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Okay, has anyone else got any questions? No? All right. All those in favour? And that's carried.
Yes.
Thank you. So that next now takes us to item 10.2, which is Development and Land Use Quarter 1 Overview Report. Would someone like to move the officer's recommendation? Oh, have I missed one? Okay. Oh, okay. Where is that one? That one is in here. Okay, so we're jumping through to the we've got another report that's come up as a supplementary. 10.1, which is the Country Universities Centre Director. And the recommendation is that council be represented on a governing board of the Country University Centre in Mount Isa and nominate a councillor to be a Mount Isa council representative of the governing board of the University Centre Mount Isa Limited. I'd like to move that recommendation and I'd like to nominate myself. Would someone second that motion? No. Okay. Well,
Second, Barwick.
thank you, Councillor Barwick. Would anyone like to speak on behalf or against this motion?
I'll be voting against it because I do believe that we've had this discussion before, but I believe to be on the board for this, you do need to have a bit of experience in the education department, and I know Councillor McRae has had over 20 years of that. She's got a university degree. She's got good contacts within the education department, and she's quite abreast of everything that's going on with it.
Thank you. Thank you for that. And one of the interesting things that came out of the panel discussion when I was at the LGAQ was that they said the common mistake people make is getting too many people with teaching degrees and backgrounds on the board. So they said it's really important that we have a diverse board. And one of the most important people obviously you can get on there is either a current or a retired principal, or even two, you know. But they did say, you know, look at women in mining, look at Indigenous people. You know, make sure you've got a cross section of that board, which is a cross section of your community, in fact. So, one of the reasons I would like to put my hand up is because, you know, when I first got in, I was lobbying the state and federal government, but also, and you know, I went to see the Minister of Education, and talked about how we need a university campus in Mount Isa. And everyone knows every year 100 mining engineers retired. But the University of Queensland by no means get 100 applications for mining degrees. But it just seems to be a no-brainer that holding a campus in Mount Isa where kids could go and get, you know, degrees in mining, metallurgy, geology. They could live at home. They could have access to at least, you know, 15 to 20 different mines which have different methodologies of mining. They could have mentors. They could get part-time jobs working in the industry that they want to get their degree in. And with that, I actually brought some of the professors from University of Queensland. I took them to Capricorn Copper. I did a round table with JCU, MMG, Commerce Northwest, TAFE, and I actually was liaising with Dan Christie at JCU on trying to get something in Mount Isa to do with opportunities for youth. And we actually had the Premier's Ambassadors Conference come to town, and I really pushed the point that we need opportunities for our young people locally in Mount Isa. And there's hundreds of radio interviews and Northwest State interviews I've done. So there's no doubt I've been a big advocator for having these opportunities in Mount Isa. And while the Country University isn't a campus, it's a really great start to have opportunities for our young people. And one of the things I said when I got up on the panel is that I don't recognise Mount Isa anymore, because when I left school at 18, there was so many things for kids to do, and there was young people everywhere. There was 150 apprentices that went through Mount Isa Mines every 6 months, so 300 kids got an opportunity for an apprenticeship. The mines did sandwich courses where you actually went to the mines and you did 1 year of uni, 1 year of work at the mines, 1 year of uni. You only had to drive down West Street and there was an array of hotted up cars because all these kids were cashed up, all our youth were cashed up. We had a nightclub every night of the week except a Monday night, you know. It was just a fantastic place to be a young person then. But now, and definitely cut to now, the young people are going and families have an exit plan. There's no doubt about it. Their kids get to grade 12 and they move to where they can take them to university. So, and heaven knows how you come up with $22,000 a year just to accommodate and feed your child at a university, let alone fly them back and forwards to Mount Isa, which is another cost. So we've got to make families be able to stay here, but we need their kids to have opportunities. So for me, this country university is paramount. You know, it's a really good stepping stone. And the next thing I'm pushing is that we get some of these mining universities to do a semester in Mount Isa. And if they all committed around the country to come to Mount Isa and do a semester, imagine how great that would be, not just for the mining industry, but for Mount Isa and the opportunities that would come with it. And I'm still not giving up on the campus idea, but we need opportunities for our young people. And I just couldn't stress that enough. And that's why I think I don't want to be a chair of the committee, but I'd like to be a part of it. Any other comments?
I think I recall the day Deputy when they got Jordan Health. I don't think we'll ever get back to that again because it's quite consistently. With regard to the I would suggest that the board that they're seeking, I'm not sure of the directors there are, but or people from with education background also.
Through the chair, Deputy Mayor, you are breaking up again.
Okay. All right. I just suggest that the applications for the directorship, I think, on there. Thank you.
Didn't get any of that.
I missed
Sorry, Deputy Mayor, we just missed that last statement.
I was just saying that I think the applications would quite a broad range of applicants, including Indigenous people, and also people with education background, and so I suggest that the opportunity by.
Sorry, Deputy Mayor, we're not quite getting that, but you know, I guess the one thing I did hear was that Mount Isa City Council's already started appointing people to the board, and that was a real concern for me because I haven't heard one single thing about that. So I think we do need to go back and find out who out of Mount Isa City Council is putting names forward because it hasn't come through councillors, which is a concern.
Point of order, can I please just clarify the panel discussion that was had at the LGAQ also? You are correct, you were the third speaker. There were two speakers prior to you, and their recommendation of how to have a successful board was to have people involved in education to add legitimacy to the organisation. I think the person who recommended that you didn't have education people was yourself.
No, I think there might be a video, but they actually said...
I think there is. We should probably get it out.
Yeah, I think we should, because they actually said don't make the mistake of loading it up with people from education backgrounds. And I actually said, well, that's really good advice because, you know, and they said definitely have, what you probably heard was definitely have your couple of education people, which would be your principals or your vice principals, but then get a diverse range of people.
Yeah, they did say have diverse people, but make sure you have people
That's
with
right,
education
and they
background.
actually, and I would hate for you to be the education person because I'd see that we need someone with, you know, a deputy
through the
principal
chair.
or a principal.
Yeah, through the chair,
I'm
I
just
think.
talking at the moment, Councillor. Please,
Yep, okay.
wait your turn. Yeah, so they did say get your principals in, for sure. Yeah, but don't fill it up with people just because they've got an education background. That definitely was said, and they said look for women in mining.
That was yourself. That was yourself speaking on your experience in setting up the country university.
No. That might, yeah, I did.
That was your point.
No, they said we need a diverse range, and I said yes, you're right. That was my point, and I said you're right because one of the things that we're struggling with in the mining industry is having enough women in mining, and we're also struggling with getting enough Indigenous people into universities, right? So offering Indigenous people opportunities locally where they can get the support of their family is a fantastic idea, and that's why you need that voice on that committee. Yep, for sure.
Agreed.
Yeah. Sorry, Councillor, please go.
Through the chair, I'm not recommending Councillor McRae as the education person, but her experience and her knowledge in the education department will be of a great benefit, and she's also got a lot of experience out of the education section just due to her work in the community, and as her role as a businesswoman as well, that will hold her in good stead as well. So I'm not saying that's the only reason she's going. I just want to make that clear. But I think it will be of great benefit.
Look, the thing that concerns me, if you're sort of angling to Councillor McRae, is that we've got 100 years to run, and Councillor McRae's the chair of that. And at the moment, we still haven't got an event for the 23rd of February. We've got no funding from the state government. We're depending on funding we got from the federal government. We've got no merchandise organised. We're really behind the eight ball with the 100 years, and we need to really step it up at the moment. So I would really like the councillor's focus, and I know she's already on a couple of boards, to just be on the 100 year. I'm keen to throw my whole support behind you for this 100 years. It's a big year to manage, and I think that, you know, we all need to be supporting Councillor McRae, because we're not there yet with the 100 years. And I don't want to be looking back at this time next year wishing we'd have done X, Y, Z. We really need to focus on the 100 years.
Through the chair, I'm on top of the 100 years. We've got $700,000 funding. We've got Centennial Place going ahead. We've got a manager for the 100 years who's coordinating operations. We've got 6 events organised. Would you like Brian to give you an update on the 100 years if you're concerned about that?
I'd love Brian to, but what I will say is 5 of those events are events we hold every year, and that we're just adding some money to them to make them bigger and better. Only one event, which is a reunion, maybe there's 2. One event is a reunion in May. Now, on the 23rd of February, we have a dinner for elite people, which is not for the community. Now,
that's incorrect, Madam Mayor.
And I've actually written to the Premier and asked her, can we get some funding? Because I want to hold an event where we can invite the whole city to come along on the 23rd of February and celebrate 100 years. Now, we've had 2 years to go and get funding from the state government, and no one's been able to secure it. No, let me finish. We've had 2 years to get funding from the state government, and we are the biggest contributor as a city to the Queensland economy. And we have been up until 2010, as one of the fun facts is we have been Mount Isa Mines has been the biggest contributor to the Queensland economy as a private business up until 2010. So there's no doubt the state government should be supporting 100 years, and for whatever reason, we haven't secured funding for it. So great, we've got the 750, but the manager at the time was also running Outback at Isa, and as much as I protested, we continued to let him manage Outback at Isa while trying to manage the 100 years, which I really feel like that wasn't fair, and that wasn't the point of the funding. You know, so for me, I'm very passionate about Mount Isa's 100 years. I really want a big focus on it. We should have been selling merchandise at the rodeo just gone for the 100 years, and we've got nothing even in the printers at the moment for the 100 years. It's October. Everything closes in December, January. I'm worried. I'll just put it out there.
Through the chair, we can probably take this online when we get to the 100 years report. We probably need to move forward and vote on this now.
Okay, let's do that. Any other questions before we move on and vote? All right. All those in favour? And
Yes.
And I'll do a division. So there's one. What was? I couldn't understand. The deputy mayor, was he? Yes. Yep. So that's 2 for, and everyone else against.
It's against Coghlan.
Tully.
Right, against.
Thank you. All right. So so that goes opposed.
We need to come up with an alternative motion.
I'd like to put...
Yeah, sorry, through the chair, Councillor Coghlan, were you going to come up with an alternative motion?
Yes, I am, Councillor Tully.
Councillor Tully, you just cut her off.
Yeah, because we need to move on.
I know, Councillor Tully, you just
we need to do.
You cut her off. Let her finish.
Rightio. I'd like to move the recommendation that council be represented on the governing board of the Country University Centre Mount Isa Limited by Councillor Peter McRae to be Mount Isa City Councillor's representative on the governing board of the Country University Centre Mount Isa Limited.
Thank you, sorry. Thank you, Councillor Coghlan. Can I get a seconder for that motion?
Second.
Thank you, Councillor Tully. All those in favour?
Yes.
And that, we'll do division on that one as well. So I think it's 6 councillors and myself is against. Yep, is that correct?
Councillor Fortune isn't present.
Oh, sorry, yeah. Just the councillors, every councillor that's here, for and myself against.
5.
Okay, let's get back on to, yep, so that's carried. So now we go back to the agenda item, which is 10.2, Development and Land Use Quarter 1 Overview Report. Would someone like to use the officer's recommendation?
Yeah, I'll move that. That council removes and accepts the Development and Land Use Quarter 1 Overview Report.
Thank you, Councillor Stratton. Can I get a seconder for that motion?
McRae.
Thank you, Councillor McRae. Would someone like to speak on behalf of this motion?
I've got no further comments on that report.
Through the chair, that, did Councillor Stratton, did you say receives?
You said removes.
You've said removes, yeah. I'd like that noted. It should be receives.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Coghlan, for picking that up.
No worries.
No other comments on this one? Okay.
Oh, actually, yes, through the chair, it is on this report. I think it's great for the City of Mount Isa that we've received, I see here in the property searches, a total of 109 property searches requests for the quarter. And this is an increase compared to the last quarter being 70, and an increase compared to the same quarter last financial year being 89, which I think is a great stepping stone for Mount Isa. So there were 98 were residential properties and 5 were commercial. So that's good to see that houses are selling, and I know at this time of year you do have a lot of people moving on because contracts are finished and that. But it's good to see that these houses are being sold, and it's really good to see that the commercial space is being looked at as well, because, you know, the more we can support new businesses coming to town and support the ones that are already here, it'll just all go well for Mount Isa going forward.
Thank you, Councillor Coghlan. Any other comments? All right. All those in favour?
Yes.
And that's carried. Okay, that now takes us to item 11.1, which is the Finance Overview Report. Would someone like to move the officer's recommendation?
Yeah, I'll move, Madam Mayor, thanks.
Thank you.
Getting to the plus. I'll move the council receives and accepts the September 5th, 2022 overview report.
Thank you. Can I get a seconder for that motion?
McRae.
Thank you, Councillor McRae. Would anyone like to speak on behalf of this? Councillor Barwick?
Yes, Madam Mayor, I will start off, but if communication is all, I might pass to the that's okay. So we've got the operational budget there, which goes at the revenue at the head of budget. Due to the recent issue, sales revenue is down, contract recoverable work, and other income has been under budget down. That's just, you know, the water board paid. The expenses are in territory so far this year. They've gone very well. As capital, we've received 1.6 million of the of state grants. The outstanding aid got 27.9 billion outstanding, of which 21.3 billion are current. there's still 3.5 million in significant arrears over 360 days. Something that the rates are because they're in accounts receivable. The were actually delayed printing and were not out. So they will catch up eventually with the step. Borrowings are at 8.85. Our cash present time is at $57 billion. A couple of the notes, report for 2026 now, and I later in this meeting, and the budget is I just been brought forward for review various reasons. That's all from me. Thanks, Madam.
Thank you. We caught nearly all of that.
To the chair, Madam Mayor, I think in the future, I think if we're going to have this poor quality situation, I think, you know, we need to do something. We're getting the director of that finance to give us a report on it.
Yeah, oh look, I can't imagine there'll be too many instances like this, and I think just being in another country doesn't help, you know.
No, I know.
Usually it's pretty good, and we can hear Mick Tully fine, so I think it's, but Director of Finance, is there anything that you want to highlight? No. Any other comments? Okay, all those in favour? And that's carried.
Yes.
It's unanimous. The next one is item supplementary one, so if he's all turned to item not that one. Item the Lawmac one. The Lawmac. Oh, it might be on the. Would that be on the? In the supplementary, so ordinary meeting supplementary. Yep. All right.
Oh, here it is.
Okay, so this one is for item 11.2, which is Lawmac Workshop and General Meeting. This one is the Mount Isa City Council has been invited to send a council representative as well as a councillor and a council staff member to an upcoming local authority waste management action committee, Lawmac, which is a workshop and general meeting on the 17th and 18th of November. And as you know, we are building a MRF, so we certainly need that sort of support from other local governments and authorities. Would anyone like to move the officer's recommendation?
I'll move the recommendation that Council approves and nominates Councillor Paul Stretton to attend the Lawmac workshop and general meeting on the 17th and 18th of November 2022.
Thank you, Councillor Coghlan.
Second.
Thank you, Councillor Tully. Any comments on this one?
I just would like to ask one question, and Councillor Stretton might be able to enlighten us on that. What do we believe we can get out of you attending this? Because I've never heard of.
Oh, through the chair, I can probably answer that. When I've attended the LGAQ in the past, the Lawmac representative has approached me and said that councils usually get together and participate in this. It's to do with waste recovery throughout the state, and they were very keen for Mount Isa to be involved. I'm not sure how this invitation, I wasn't anything to do with this invitation coming, but I know that Lawmac has been very keen to work with us in the past.
Okay.
Yeah, the invitation was sent to me. I actually also met with the Lawmac representative, was at the LGAQ conference, and I was actually just talking to him about some of the challenges we have with the MRF and how, as a council, we would are looking for any support we can get, really, and also, wanted to know what worked well and worked differently for other local governments. And he advised of the meeting and said he would send this the invitation. And I thought that this would be a good opportunity for Councillor Stretton and one of the council staff who's been quite involved with the MRF to go along and sort of, a great opportunity, really, especially with this MRF for us. The Councillor Stretton?
Yeah, through the chair. I accept the nomination. I'll have to check my calendar and everything like that, and I will get back.
It's in Mission Beach, which is hard because you've got to fly somewhere then drive somewhere, but still, great location. All right. Any other comments? All right. All those in favour?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor? Or
Yes.
Councillor Tully? One of them missed out. All right, that's carried. So now that takes us to item 11.3, which is the Economic and Community Development Overview Report for August and September. So I'll just...
Did we do corporate services, Madam Mayor?
let's go back. So I'll just go back to the final agenda.
11.2, corporate services. I don't think we did that.
No, it's just in the ordinary meeting minutes.
Okay, so we did... Oh, yeah, we had 11.2. Sorry, that's why I've missed that one. So the corporate services overview for August and September for 2022. Would someone like to move the council's recommendation?
Normally,
I'll move.
Oh, yes. You go, Councillor Barwick.
Okay, yeah, I'll move that council receives accept the August 2022 in September
Thank you.
overview report as presented.
Yeah, sorry, I'm having trouble hearing you, but I believe you've moved the motion. Can I get a seconder for that motion?
McRae.
Thank you, Councillor McRae. Deputy Mayor, I know you want to speak to this, but it is really hard to hear you. So would you like anyone else to speak to this on your behalf?
Yeah, thanks. Perhaps Shalaya is best. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Slade. Through the chair, this is just the standard issues that we've been dealing with the customer service team. So it's mainly the missed bins. We've transitioned to JJ Richards. So just encouraging the community, if there's any issues with your bin collection, just get in touch with council and we can assist you. There's a number of animal management matters as well, the roaming animals, missing animals, and your typical standard items like water leaks or sewer issues as well. So it's pretty stock standard, but just flagging again that transition to JJ Richards collection for the rubbish, and please get in touch with council if there's any issues. Thank you.
Thank you. And I definitely know from a few customer complaints that there has been some teething issues, but please I think that's a great advice, is please contact council if you're having any issues and we'll work with JJ's to sort of correct that. So thank you. Any other comments on this report? All right, all those in favour?
Yes.
Councillor Tully?
Yes.
Terrific, and that's carried. Thank you. Okay, now this one takes us to 11.3, and forgive us everyone, we've got a few hiccups with the agenda, but it's we're going well. So this is 11.3, which is the Economic and Community Development Overview Report for August and September for 2022. Would someone like to move the officer's recommendation?
I'd like to remove that council. I'd like to move that council receives and accepts the August 2022 and September 2022 Economic and Community Development Overview Report.
Can I get a seconder for that?
Seconded, Coghlan.
Thank you. Would anyone like to speak for, against, or comment?
Yes, I would. We've got some upcoming events. We've got Christmas carols on December the 3rd. We've got Remembrance Day on November 11th. We've already got Australia Day Award nominations happening out on Facebook. So if you can think of someone that you would like to nominate for an Australia Day Award, please jump on there and do that, because those awards are hotly contested, and we look forward to having a great event on Australia Day. Those are completed awards. Move It is kicking along nicely. For August and September, we had boxercise, seniors up and go, Tai Chi, yoga, Pilates and aqua aerobics. I'd really like to congratulate the team on the participation they're getting with Move It, because we all understand that prevention is better than cure, so getting people out and active and social is a great initiative for our community, and I hope we keep receiving this funding and are able to continue offering this, because it has been really successful. I'd also like to congratulate these people who have been nominated on behalf of Mount Isa to represent us in the Sports Star Awards happening at Cloncurry next weekend on the 5th of November. Our junior sports star, Sienna Wilson, our senior sports star, we unfortunately did not get any nominations for that. Masters sports star, Sunny for boxing, team sports star, under 11 netball team, and service to sport, Cody Kuskoff for netball. So I wish those people the best of luck for the North Queensland Sports Star Awards next week. And also look out for the Sign-On Expo happening as usual, but next year it will be on February the 4th. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments?
Yeah, I'd just like to take this opportunity to do a big congratulations to all those volunteers that ran the Rockpot Mime on the Friday night. It was a great night. I know the senior schools didn't nominate this year due to the fact that both schools did musicals, but the junior schools went well above and beyond in their performances. It was a great night. It was so busy. I've never cooked so many chips in all my life. But I know all the food stalls, all the drink stalls just about sold out. But just a huge congratulations, because I know it's only a small band of people that put this on every year, and they did a magnificent job. And just a big thank you to all the schools that supported it as well. And just to reiterate what Councillor McRae just said about the Australia Day Awards, but I would urge all the councillors, we need to make it a priority to talk to community groups and people in the community to just say to them, look, nominate someone that you think might be worthy of an award, because if we do it now, we're not leaving it until the last minute, and that's usually what always happens. So there's people out there that think about it. I think we should all get in there, and if you do know someone, the nominations form's quite easy to fill in, so just nominate someone so that we can recognise these people that, make Mount Isa the great community that it is.
Thank you, Councillor Coghlan. I think that's a really great message. And yes, definitely we've got some great people in Mount Isa, and they do need to be recognised. I guess there's a couple of things. One is who has been putting the nominations forward to the Country University for the committee, because that should really be a council responsibility and a councillor's responsibility, and someone's been making nominations apparently. Do we know what's going on with that?
Through the chair, my understanding is operations handled the application funding, and to put together the funding package to go for it, they needed to nominate people, is what I've been told. I was not involved in this in any way. It has been council staff.
I think there's been a serious, fault here, because that's not the council staff's job. And in fact, we sit up here with our code of conducts and our, we are able to say, I have conflict of interest. We have all those rules and regulations, so when we appoint people, we're transparent. Now, if we have staff in the background appointing people to a committee, no council does this, and I don't believe our council should be doing that. So I think we need to look into who's been put forward at the moment, why it didn't go through councillors.
Through the chair, I think it went through council today.
Can I just finish what I'm saying? So at the moment, I know that we've put, I'll just reiterate what I was saying, is council staff should not be nominating people for an external committee for the country universities. That's our job. That's what we got voted in for, and we need, if that is happening, we need to report to council what's going on, and we need to be reviewing this as councillors. The other thing I'll mention is that there has been a couple of meetings where the CEO has attended where it really quite rightly should have been the mayor, and not only wasn't I invited, I wasn't notified, and I wasn't updated, wasn't given minutes, and I wasn't giving a review on what happened. So now the CEO is gone. I do acknowledge that there were some other council staff there, but this is what I got voted in for. I'm the Mayor of Mount Isa. Please don't interrupt me. I'm the Mayor of Mount Isa, and I got voted in. I represent Mount Isa with strategic things, and if we're talking housing and the wait list, I need to be in the room. And the fact that the invite didn't come to me, the fact that I didn't get a minutes, I didn't get any update, I didn't know the meeting happened until I saw it on this report, is not okay. So going forward, I would like to know what other meetings took place where I wasn't made aware of, because if people want to go on behalf of council, they really need to run as a councillor. No one has a right to go in my place unless I appoint them, and I want to make that very clear. And if you are going to meetings, people need to update council on what happened, at least the minutes, and at least a nod to this is what's happening, do you want to go, or what should be happening. That's my role. I'm here in the building, I need to be made aware of this. So that's what I'll say on that.
Through the chair, may I speak now?
You certainly can, Councillor McCrane. I'm sorry, I wasn't being rude, I wasn't finished.
I was just wondering, I just wanted you to refer to what in the report you were talking about, because I was just unclear as to where you're going and what in the report triggered that.
The social housing meeting with the DG of housing. Now, that is not roads, rubbish and waste. It isn't, right? And that's what the operations is, roads, rubbish and waste. When it comes to strategic, when it comes to livability, when it comes to Mount Isa, that's my job. That's our job as councillors. And no one should be taking that away from us, and that we should be made aware and invited to these meetings, and that's what I'm saying. And I don't want to hear any argument with that one. That's just it's a given.
Just through the chair, you've got to be very careful there that it probably would be operational.
No,
and just let me finish. Let me finish.
Sorry about that.
A lot of these meetings are operational and you should not be involved in them. And the thing is, if a department is sending out invitations, they send out who they want to talk to at the meeting. So that's just how it is.
So what happens is the invitations go out to the executive reception, which is the CEO's area. And if you had your laptop open, you'd see that the Department of Housing has a wait list for over 300 applicants for Mount Isa. The average applicant is 3 people of a household. This equates to 900 people sleeping in rough and crowded houses. Outline public works and construction plan. Now, yep, I do get that we need some council officers in the room for expertise. There's no doubt about that. And I wouldn't dream of going to some of these meetings without that expertise behind me, which can... but when it comes to livability, when it comes to Mount Isa, that's a meeting I should have been at. I was on the panel in Richmond for the Western Alliance of Councils talking about housing, social housing. I've actually sat with the Minister about housing. So I've been very much part of the conversation. At least every 2 months, I get everybody together to talk about living rough. And that's housing, it's police, it's health, it's everybody. We bring them together and we talk about how council can help and how bringing everyone together to the table. So there is an expectation that that meeting comes to me. Now, for whatever reason it didn't, I'm not blaming anyone, but I'm just making the point that this isn't how I want to operate as a council. Any other comments?
Through the chair, we have the Manager of Corporate and Community Service here that Economic and Development, that can be here and talk about the specific item for
Well,
CEC.
we're going to have an update after the meeting today, aren't we, with 100 years? Or
It's later on. We're going to move the minutes for the 100 years.
okay,
That
well,
comes up later in the meeting.
we can do that then, if you like.
But weren't you interested in the CUC? Isn't that
Oh
what
yeah,
you were?
yeah. What's happening with the CEC and the nominations?
Did we want to discuss this after the meeting?
Well, that's what I think I was just clear that all I was saying is, if there is any nominations, we need to know who they are. So So I've talked to Country University, and they believe the nominations are coming from councillors. And I said, no, they're not. I don't know anything about it. So this is where the updates are getting to me a bit behind. So we may have to, at these workshops, have a bit more robust updates, because I didn't know that council staff were nominating people to be on the committee. And I believe that's our job as councillors. Well, I don't believe it. It is our job as councillors, you know.
Through you, Madam Chair, if I could just take you through what the council officers have been doing in regard to CUC. So we received notification that we needed to operationalise an application for a CUC immuniser. So a working party was put together to operationalise that, and my role was to oversee the governance side of that. The application process that the working party had to go through was to document a list of indicative board members, the type of people that would be board members should the CUC get up. That was just part of that application process. So that was done as a working party. Once the funding was accepted and negotiations, so the funding application was accepted, final funding negotiations had to commence. That's underway, and that's likely to conclude shortly. The funding needs to be granted to a newly established incorporated company. So I think we need to be really clear that this is not... Council has put an application forward. The process is to stand up a new incorporated company and a board of directors.
I understand that.
So council needs to not have a big footprint in that, because the company's first job when they're incorporated is to establish their constitution. So the advice from Duncan Taylor, he is the CUC Central CEO and also the founder of Central Universities.
I know Duncan.
Yep, so he was advising us to take a hands-off approach and establish a board with a small membership, so that when they are incorporated, the board themselves, the directors, can furnish the board how they would like to through their constitution.
And can I, sorry, I was just going to say, at that point though, again, my point is, no one's given you permission from councillors to establish a board. It really needs to come back to councillor, whether we are comfortable with you guys. Now, keep in mind, we're very transparent with our conflicts of interest. Now, if we end up having a council officer whose Auntie Mary gets on the board, right, we won't know anything about that. That's why it needs to come through council. Now, when I talked to Duncan, he thought we as councillors were making the nominations. And I said, no, that hasn't, at no time has councillors been informed of this. Now, I think I was very clear in our workshops when you have all been present, where I've said, with the board, we need, you were trying to sort of say, we need to pick a board right now, and I said, well, let's not rush, right? And I was pretty clear, I think, that, you know, we were going to pick them as the councillors.
So just going forward, to be really clear, no council officers have picked any board members. Duncan's CUC Central University has made some approach to some potential people. I believe Brian and I were at a briefing where we were explaining the process of, once the funding is approved, we have to be ready to establish, because once the funding is finalised, there's a small window for the incorporation to occur. So CUC need to be ready. So Duncan's team with a legal firm are getting ready. The recommendation from Duncan was to keep the board at 5 or less. It's likely the board is going to be much bigger than that, but the board themselves will choose their membership along the lines of what you've already discussed, I imagine. So the recommendation was some school teachers, Duncan himself, so the 2 school principals were approached, Duncan himself, a representative from council and a community member.
So when were we...
Those people weren't picked by the working group.
So this, councillors again haven't been updated, right? So this has all happened without going to councillors.
So I believe at the workshop...
I think you think that we've approved you to go out and do this. We haven't. We haven't approved this. So what I'm saying is, I've got no problem with whoever's been approached, but it needs to be with councillors need to know, this is what we're thinking of doing, this is what we've been told to do, and this is what's going on. Now, Duncan thought we were updated, and we weren't. So to be told now when I get a report up, when we have a workshop every week, you know, it's embarrassing to be there and go, oh, I didn't know that. Oh, I didn't realise
So to
that.
reiterate, no one has been appointed.
Yeah.
We reported at a workshop that approaches through Duncan were being made, and we asked for councillor comment. I don't believe any comments were made at that point.
I'll be clear. I was very clear about that with the board, and that I just can't be clear enough. That's not true. Now, what I will say is Duncan's under the impression that the councillors are putting this together. So we do need some councillor buy-in on this, and someone communicating back to councillors, because it's not happening. So it's a void. So I don't want to be somewhere where someone's telling me who's going to be on this committee when the councillors, it's our role. You know, this isn't roads, rubbish, and it's not operations. This is coming out of, and I realise that you're supporting us, but you've got to work with us as councillors, you know, and if you're cutting us out, which I feel is happening because I'm the Mayor of Mount Isa and I don't know what's going on. So, and I'm not having to go at anyone, but there's a communication breakdown here, right? I need to be updated, and a report after the fact isn't helping me.
I can't speak to your conversations about Duncan. I can only speak to the process that we've been advised to follow as officers.
Look, I've made my point. I'm just saying that I don't want to keep going on about this. I'm not attacking anyone. I'm saying... sorry, who said that?
Through the chair.
Oh, sorry, I haven't finished. I just heard someone mumble under their breath. All I'm saying is the last couple of reports I just want to be the Mayor of Mount Isa and the councillor, and I'm sure these guys want that role too. We all worked hard to become councillors, so that's our job. So to not know what's happening in council and for council staff to be making strategic decisions is a bit of a worry for me, and I get that's probably just a communication breakdown, but these reports are coming after the fact, and it's too late then for me. So when we have these weekly work, and I'm happy to come to your meetings, you know, I'm happy to come and sit there, you know, I'm in the building, bring me along, and, you know, even a weekly email saying this is what's happening, this is really important, you know.
So I take your point, thank you very much. But to be clear, council officers have not made any strategic decisions, we've been following an operational process. I take your point about communication and will take advice on how to proceed.
Yeah, thank you. And look, I was sitting there at the panel, and again, you know, you didn't get that feedback, but, you know, it's a diverse board, you know.
Again, the feedback from Duncan was very, very clear for the council to help establish an incorporated company with the smallest possible footprint, so that incorporated company, which is a private company, can then establish the board as it sees fit through its constitution. So a 5-member board is unlikely to be the same level of board membership once they're established, and I'm sure the board as an independent organisation will pursue the diversity that you've been talking about today.
Yeah, and I think that's why we got it voted in, is to, you know, we represent a diverse range of people, so we should be in the conversation. Yeah, for sure. All right, thank you.
Just through the chair, like on this, time is of essence, and
that's what I'm sorry to cut you off, but that's what I'm saying. We've been talking about this at workshops. We could have done this earlier, and I don't know why it's last minute now, councillor. And I'm just saying,
not last minute. I'm
in the building. Any time we could have all sat down together and talked about this. Why does it have to be rushed now? Why is it a last minute thing now? Because I've been here. We've all been here. We could have talked about this months ago. We've known about this funding for months. You know,
well, nothing's stopping a councillor picking up the phone and asking what's going on. And also, like, I have complete confidence in the staff that they will make the proper decision on this, because they're the ones that are working with it every day.
Well, that's not how it works, councillor. It is we get voted into...
Well, it just got explained to us how it is working, and it's quite clear.
It was very clear, but my only point of difference was we choose the board, not council staff. And again,
no.
You could be in a position where someone's auntie is, you know, Brian's auntie May gets on there. How does that...
Through the chair, I've got complete confidence
don't raise your voice.
Yeah, well, I am raising it because you don't seem to be listening. I've got
Councillor,
complete
please-
confidence
Councillor,
in my staff
can I just
that
ask
they
you-
will know how to
Can I ask you to
maintain
take-
a conflict
Can
of
I ask you
interest.
to take a deep breath? You don't need to shout.
Oh,
I can hear
deep
you
breath.
well.
Well, you're not listening. Once again, I have complete confidence in the staff that they know how to manage a conflict of interest.
Well, councillor, this is your job. We're not passing our jobs on to staff. This is our job. This is what we
Don't tell me what my job is. I quite
Councillor,
clearly
I
know
think you're
what
in
my
breach of
job
the,
is.
the conduct of the meeting at the moment. Can you please refrain from speaking just at the moment and let's carry on?
Can I say the same back to you? You need to listen as well.
Councillor, your conduct is really unfair at the moment. Can you just please take a deep breath and let's continue on?
Oh, whatever.
Oh, whatever. That's not very nice, councillor.
Just carry on, Madam
We
Mayor.
have standing meeting procedures here, and I would love you to read them, and let's just move on.
Well, we're all waiting for you.
Thank you, councillor. All right. Any other comments? All those in favour? And that's carried.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, that takes us to, do we have another change? Nope. Item 11.4, which is a Splashes Overview Report for September 2022.
I'd like to move the recommendation that Council receives and accepts the September 2022 Splashes Overview Report as presented.
Can I get a seconder for that motion, please?
McRae.
Thank you, Councillor McRae. Councillor Coughlin, would you like to speak on behalf of this report?
Yes, just like to say there's been an increase in the patronage because of the hot weather. There's a lot more schools using the pool for swimming lessons, which is great to see. And there also, a few schools have got them, well only a handful, but have got them booked in for graduation day. The hours of the pool, trading hours in September got changed, so the pool's now open on a Monday and Friday from 5:30 a.m. to 7 p.m, Saturday from 7 a.m. to 5:30 p.m, and Sunday 9 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. Also, like to note that the Isa Heat Swim Club nights are back on, so they're back training and back competing, and that the blocks have been removed because there was a few issues raised there about that they're a bit of a hazard. So they've been removed, but we are in the process of, I believe, putting out a tender to get them fixed, and it's been made a high priority.
Thank you, councillor. I'd just like to add that I'm getting nothing but positive feedback about the pool, and everyone really appreciates the extra shade, the extra seating, so it's really good to see. Any other comments? All right, all those in favour? And that's carried.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you, that's carried. And now that takes us to item 11.5, which is the Library Overview Report for August and September of 2022.
I'd like to move that Council receives and accepts the August 2022 and September 2022 Library Overview Report as presented.
Can I get someone to second that motion?
Stratton.
Thank you. Councillor McRae, would you like to speak on behalf of this one?
Yes, I would. In the last week of July, Judith Nilsson, a professional historian, visited Mount Isa City Library to do a significance assessment on the library's historical collection. The significance assessment is part of the grant funding from the National Library of Australia, which will allow the library to properly house and store the historical items of significance to Mount Isa. This assessment concluded that there were indeed items of national significance in the library historical collection, namely thousands of high-quality photographic images showing the development of the mine in the town, documents, publications detailing the 64-65 industrial action, information regarding the Murray Krishna Club, as it shows the development of Mount Isa's cultural life, particularly in reference to women in a male-dominated town, and hundreds of documents dated from the 1920s showing the growth and expansion of Mount Isa mines. Also, as part of that process, they'll be looking for things to add to the Recollect platform. That is what we got funded for earlier in the year as part of the 100-year celebration. So that is another behind-the-scenes 100-year thing that is happening operationally. Just looking at the attendance, attendance has been great. August, 3,662 visitors, and September, 2,639. With September, I guess that was school holidays, so people may have been out of town. They would have, however, had a lot more children there long day because, as you know, they run their school holiday activities, which are always fully booked out and very popular. And next Friday, I am hosting story time at the library for the youngsters. So if anyone wants to hear Harry McClary, come along.
And all I'll say is I hear nothing, again, but positive things about the Mount Isa Library, and there's no doubt if you go in there, it's just a hive of activity. It's really great to see. And one thing I'll say about the historians is I caught up with a historian for Cloncurry, which I've passed on to Lois, and he has records of, in 1926, people who have getting their bins picked up and their name, where they were actually leaving their bin to be picked up for waste. And he also, and that goes back as far as 1926, and it also has records of anyone who called an ambulance, and it was their name and their injury. So there's some, Cloncurry actually holds some of our history as well. So it was great to be able to put them two together because, we're, 100 years next year, and it's really exciting. Okay, any other comments? All right, all those in favour?
Yes.
Yes.
And that's carried. This is a supplementary one now. We're going to the Buchanan Park one, or do you want to do the 100 years? Okay, yep, and then supplementary. Okay, we've just got a couple of double ups. Okay, and that's 11.6, which is the meeting of Mount Isa 100-year celebration advisory committee held on the 7th of September. Would someone like to move the motion?
Yes, I'd like to move that the minutes of the Mount Isa 100-year celebration advisory committee held on the 7th of September 2022 be received and the recommendations therein be noted.
Seconded, Coghlan.
And any comments on this one?
No.
No, I don't think you were available for that meeting, Madam Mayor, but we did have a really interesting meeting. We did have a quorum. The event on the 23rd of February was discussed, and at this stage we are looking at having it in the Family Fun Park precinct as long as that is finished and ready to go. There'll also be the underground dinners that people will be able to purchase tickets for. Dinners, underground experiences with a breakfast and lunch held throughout that day. So there will be plenty happening on the 23rd of February. The guys have done magic to work their wonders to try and make the budget spread. There's also, as you discussed, the event on the 6th of May, the reunion dinner that's well underway, as well as the other events that are included on that postcard. Samples of coins have been ordered for us to have a look at, and other merchandise was discussed as well. Did you have anything to add, Brian?
Can I just interrupt there before you do, Brian? We actually agreed at a meeting that we were going to have a party for the entire town on the 23rd of February, and we were looking for venues. So what changed that we're having something at the Fan Park, which will not hold Mount Isa community? What's changed to that? And why?
We know.
After that meeting,
I answer?
No, can I just finish what I was saying? After that meeting, I actually said we had no money to organise the party for the entire town, and it was agreed that I write to the Premier, which I've done, it's in these minutes, and ask for the funding for that party.
Yep.
And so now we've moved it to the Family Fan Park, which will not hold the Mount Isa community.
Okay, I can clarify on that one. Yes, I know you said we hadn't got the funding and made out that I was responsible for that earlier, but yes, as you said, you were sourcing the funding, and I hope that does come through. We are having a party for the whole of town. Sorry, I didn't mean the Family Fun Park. I meant the Family Fun Park precinct, which would include the pool, the skate park, the Family Fun Park, and Cruciate Oval. Everyone at the meeting voted in favour of that. In preference to having it on the bitumen, because previous events held in December and January are extremely hot for staff setting up during the day to be on top of that hot bitumen, and we decided it was a workplace health and safety issue, so we wanted to move it into a grassed area with water involved with the pool to make it more user-friendly for that time of the year. That was voted on unanimously by the whole committee. Obviously, we can't make decisions as a committee, we just can give advice to council, and council will vote on that down the track. But that is the plans at the moment.
Okay, I get that, and obviously the plan changed in the next meeting, so that's we were talking Buchanan Park or, anyway, but we have approached Krishna Oval before, and I don't know who the committee is. The only person I know on the committee is Kim Coughlin, so I don't know where your committee is, but they've said no because we would ruin the Oval. So what's changed now?
It's the time, and I am working with council on this matter.
Okay, because in the past when we wanted to hold a free concert for the city, you've said no.
Yeah, it was right near grand finals, so putting a big stage on the field would have, and having thousands of people go through the Oval, I don't think that's fair to my players that play all year and then have to...
That's not what you said. You actually just said no, it damages the Oval, but I get that now. You've explained it. Thank you.
Yeah, but I did say when it was as well.
Okay. Yeah, okay. I guess, again, the updates, the communication's a bit bleak, and I know that I got the invite for the committee meeting a week out, and of course my calendar is completely booked up, and I did send an email saying, could you please look at changing it, because I knew a few other committee members couldn't attend, and you did come back and say no, you wanted to keep it on that date. So a week out for me is very difficult in my calendar, and again, I'm happy to come to any internal meetings if they're happening, because I do believe they're happening and I'm not getting invited, and I'd love to come along because I'm very passionate about it.
Through the chair, Madam Mayor, you are invited to all meetings. You've got a standing invitation. The meetings were set out earlier, and then you sent out saying you didn't want meetings changed because it made it difficult for people to coordinate their calendars, and then you asked us to change the meeting. So I said no, we'd made a decision to keep the meetings the same, and that's why the meeting wasn't changed.
It was about a week out, so it wasn't that early. But anyway, all I'm saying is we might need some... are you having meetings just with you and the staff? Is there a meeting that you're having with staff that I'm...
There was an internal meeting this week and you were invited, Madam Mayor.
But it's only because I started to try and organise internal meetings, and then I realised that you guys were having them. So, I want to help. I just want to help, that's all. I don't want to be frozen out. I want to help. All right. Any other comments? All right. All those in favour?
Yes.
Yes.
Now, I believe this one is a supplementary one, and is it in the paperwork or in the other? In the paperwork.
I'm happy to move, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor.
I'll move Council formally adopts the MICC for the financial statements 30th of June 2022, the financial sustainability ratios as presented.
We're on 11.6, which is the inclusion of Buchanan Park and the Civic Centre in the Mount Isa City Council's commercial fees and charges for... So the recommendation is that Council approves the inclusion of Buchanan Park and the Civic Centre in Mount Isa City Council's registered commercial fees and charges for the financial year 22-23 as presented. Councillor Barwick, would you like to move that motion?
I'll just move to that agenda. Thanks, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Can I get a seconder for that motion?
Seconded, Coughlin.
Would anyone... Councillor, if you, Deputy Mayor, do you want to try, if you speak to this, just turn your camera off and see if it works better with your audio, please.
Yeah, Madam Mayor, I'll try. Otherwise, I'll pass to possibly to Chalea. The fee charges need to be. It came out of the Change Management Committee that the fee charges were Buchanan Park and with Civic Centre, and they needed to come through council to be formalised into the council fee charges. So there are a number of changes that happened through the Change Management Committee of the transfer of 2 assets from MICO to Mount Isa City Council, and this being one of those items. So it's fairly straightforward. I don't believe there's any changes to the fees and charges at this point in time. However, for council perspective, they were subject to review at some point. Thanks, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Anyone else want to comment on this one? I think it's and you may have heard the Deputy Mayor, but I think it's important to just highlight to residents that Buchanan Park and the Civic Centre were actually tied up in MICO, which was with Outback at Isa. So one of the things that we do as a council is we subsidise the MICO with those 3 entities. So one of the things we're doing now is Mount Isa City Council is taking back Buchanan Park and the Civic Centre, and that will leave Outback at Isa to still be MICO but run solely on its own. And I think the opportunity here is for Outback at Isa to thrive on its own merit, you know, and a lot of times it's the financial costs of Buchanan Park and the Civic Centre that can make Outback at Isa not look so great. So I think it's a great thing. I think council should be looking after the Civic Centre and Buchanan Park, and yeah, I'm really interested to see how this all works in the future. Any other comments?
Yeah, Madam Mayor, just through the chair, I'd just like to take the opportunity to thank the people of the Change Management Committee with this transfer of the 2 facilities, that being Chalea, Stephen, 2 Rosses, Ross Pitt, Ross Brown, and Natasha Hayden, and also Councillor Tully for chairing that particular group. I believe it's been quite seamless. I know we're not quite there yet, the 31st of October target date, and there will still be some legacy items remaining need to deal with, but largely it's been quite seamless. So I just wanted to pass on my appreciation to be done by that group. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. And yes, a big thank you to everyone involved. Okay, all those in favour?
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's carried. I think that now we are going to 11.7. We'll just go back to the ordinary meeting 1, and it should just take you back. So that is 11.7, which is the Mount Isa City Council audited financial statements for the year ended 30th of June 2022 and financial stability ratios. Councillor Barker, if you want to move this motion, I can read it out for you.
That'd be great. Thanks, Madam Mayor.
And I say that as I just jumped off it. Of course, I just jumped off it. All right, someone else better read it out.
I can move
I
it.
just jumped off it.
I'd like to move that council formally receives and adopts the MICC audited financial statements for the year ended 30 June 2022 and financial sustainability ratios as presented.
Thank you, Councillor McRae. Yep, and that is moved by Councillor Barwick.
I'll second, Madam Mayor.
Okay, thank you, Councillor McRae. Thank you, Councillor Barwick. Would anyone like to speak on behalf of this one?
Would you like to speak on behalf of that, Chalea?
Thank you, Councillor McRae. Through the chair, we present to you the audited financial statements. We've just got confirmation today that they have been signed off by the Office of the Auditor General, so that's a great achievement for Mount Isa City Council. And just a few highlights from the operational performance. I'll just touch on the 3 financial sustainability ratios. Number 1, the operating surplus ratio. Unfortunately, we didn't meet the target this financial year, or the year ended 2022. We're below the target, which should be above 0, but we're below that. Ours is in the negative, so we had an operating deficit. Our asset sustainability ratio as well was below the target. We should be around 90% to 110%, but we're just close to about 60%, so slightly below the target. Then the net financial liabilities ratio is compliant. It's within the target. That shows that we do have that sufficient liquidity in terms of being able to meet our bills as they fall due. We're still working through the carryovers of the capital works projects. There isn't massive variations between actual and budgeted. One of the key things that you will see is around the capital income, just those movements with the rehabilitation of the landfill, that provision that's been created. There is a lot of movements because of the interest rates. We've still got issues around depreciation that will require further work within this financial year through the comprehensive revaluations. But unless there's any questions, just again, a massive thank you to the audit committee who've reviewed these financial statements and provided that guidance, as well as to RSM, who are the contract auditors for QAO, and the team, the finance team, who have worked very, very hard to achieve this result. So that's it.
Thank you, and yes, big thank you from all the councillors for the work that's gone into that. So thank you so much, and please pass that on to staff. Any other comments on this one? Okay, all those in favour?
Yes.
Yes.
And that's carried. And that takes us through to 11 point.
Through the chair, 11.8 will be dealt with in confidential. Yeah, it's got noted through.
Yeah, okay.
Thank you.
So
Sorry, what was that? I missed that.
Through the chair, 11.8 needs to be dealt with in confidential.
Oh, okay.
Just notifying council.
Sorry.
Is someone going to move that motion? Yeah,
We need to vote to move it to confidential.
okay, yep. So would someone like to move the motion that we move 11.8, the financial year 2021-22 for Mount Isa City Council closing report into confidential business?
McRae.
Thank you. And would someone like to second that?
I'd second it, Coghlan.
Thank you. All those in favour? And, well, thank you. And Councillor Tully? And that's carried. Um, 11.9, which is a sponsorship application, AgForce Queensland Farmers Limited. Would someone like to move the officer's recommendation?
I can do that. I'd like to move that council award AgForce Queensland Farmers Limited sponsorship in the amount of $1,200, including GST, to support the 2022 AgForce Industry Forum and Dinner.
Seconded, Coghlan.
Thank you. Would you like to speak on behalf of this one?
Yes, I can. AgForce dinner being held in Mount Isa will bring a lot of people into town. It'll stimulate the economy. They'll do their shopping while they're in town. And yeah, just happy to support.
Thank you. Any other comments?
No, all good.
All good. All right. All those in favour? And
Yes.
And that's carried. So that then takes us to item 12.1, and I think now we've got no more supplementaries, so we're on the home stretch there. And would someone like to move the officer's recommendation for 12.1 for major projects overview report?
Councillor Tully?
Yeah, sorry, I'm just having a bit of trouble with the mute. Can everyone hear me now?
Yes.
Yes.
Recommendation that council receives and accepts the September 2022 major projects overview report as presented.
Thank you. Can I get a second for that motion?
Stratton.
Thank you, Councillor Stratton. Councillor Tully, would you like to speak on behalf of this?
Just the main, thank you, Madam Mayor. Just the main thing is the family fun park and the Centennial Park. The fun park is proceeding very well. I was down there last week, and everything is going very well. So yeah, I think we should be very proud of that, and hopefully the finished product within the next month.
Thank you. Any other?
Through the chair, can I just, in the overview, I think there's been a typo there. You've referred to Centennial Park. It should be Centennial Place. It's always been called Centennial Place since we had the workshop and all agreed on it. So could that please be changed?
I don't think we've never named it. It was actually a council officer that just started saying, I'm just going to call it Centennial.
And we all agreed at the workshop.
Well,
So it's all been called Centennial Place since we've gone through everything.
Well, perhaps we need to put it up as a motion. But I would love to go out to the community and ask them to give us a name, because it is, at the end of the day, this is their park. And I think it'd be great to get the community on board and help us come up with a name, and they may pick this name. But I think it'd be great for the community to have some ownership on the name.
No, I don't agree. We've put in funding, we've been calling it Centennial Place. We all agreed in the workshop that it was a good name for the place, and I think we should stick with it.
Thank you for your opinion. Any other comments? All right, all those in favour?
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so that takes us now to 12.2, which is Water and Sewerage Overview Report. Would Councillor Stratton like to move the motion?
Yeah, thank you, Madam Mayor. Council receives and accepts the August-September 2022 Water and Sewerage Overview Report.
Thank you, Councillor Stratton. Can I get a seconder for that motion?
McRae.
Thank you, Councillor McRae. Councillor Stratton, would you like to speak on behalf of this?
I'd just like to ask Steve to give us a report on these smart meters. Thank you.
The perennial smart meters are getting closer, fortunately. Some very definite times now. They've been in a long queue. There was never any danger they wouldn't be manufactured, but a little bit like if you're trying to buy a Hilux now, there's no danger that Toyota's not going to manufacture Hiluxes, but you need to wait and wait and wait. That's what we've been doing with the smart meters. There was another small manufacturing hiccup, which was due to their QA processes, but they're over that now. The first 1,000 that was done to verify their manufacturing processes are actually on a ship on their way here, except a small batch being flown here to do the metrology testing that has to be done, because it's weights and measures thing, so every batch has to have some tested to Australian standards. The remainder of that batch should be on a ship in about 2 weeks. The last batch, which was actually due to be manufactured at the end of October, has been pushed out because of the manufacturing issues, but it will be finished by the end of December on a ship in here sometime early in the new year. The meter installers are back in 2 weeks. They're going to do some other work for us, for council, which is not installing meters until that first batch of meters arrives. They'll be hooking in and doing a lot of meters before Christmas. We should have an additional 1,000 metres in by Christmas. All the commercial meters have actually been finished. The larger than 50 millimetre and larger meters were finished because they weren't change outs. They were connect and adapt to the original meter, as long as they were modern enough, so that they are now, as of last week, on the system. Yeah, so it's been a long wait, but the end is fortunately in sight. Department of Local Government, our funding partners, have been very agreeable and very understanding, because it's the delays in the smart meters are delays that are impacting pumps, which take 8 months. Pipes are starting to get longer to get. As we said, any sort of machinery takes a long time. It may be 12 months, and Ross was telling me that the stormwater pipes and culverts are now taking 12 months. So our logistics problems aren't over yet, but our smart meter problems are very nearly over.
Thank you, Steve.
That's wonderful news, and I think what I find amazing is that we are finding that perhaps some people weren't paying the water bill they should have been, and this may be an opportunity for the whole community to save with rectifying that.
It's been disappointing as we've been doing the work so far. We've discovered a number of people who probably habitually take their meters out in between reads, and because we've been doing some extra reads and extra work, we've been coming along at odd times and discovering reverse meters, meters taken out and put in plain pieces of pipe. During the replacement of the meters, we've discovered a couple of illegal connections whereby they've actually bypassed the meter entirely. So, and that's only been on a fairly small sub-sample, so I'm hopeful that we fluke to find all the rotten eggs, if you like, in the basket, but there may be quite a few more out there if this is representative. But fortunately, that's also nearing an end too, so it'd be more equitable for everybody if they're all paying for the water they're using.
That's right.
Instead of passing the load on to their neighbours.
Exactly. Yeah, well, that's
Through the chair, is there any way we can take legal action against these people that are doing the wrong thing?
Yes, you can. The problem, the only problem is, we've written them letters telling them what the fines are, and that's just to sort of sharpen up the attitude, I guess. It's the evidential requirements about having someone you've got to be virtually qualified. A lot of larger councils, water utilities, employ ex-police officers and that for that very reason, because they understand the evidential requirements. You've got to go there, you've got to make notes, you've got to interview people. So we could take legal action, but it may not succeed because of that.
Okay.
So, but what we have done is the people that we have discovered doing the wrong thing, we've told them that once they get the smart meter in, we're going to monitor their usage for a period and reserve the right to adjust their bill accordingly.
Good.
The potential fines for tampering with your water meter is $35,000. For tampering with the backflow prevention device, it's a further $35,000. And by doing anything with the meter that bypasses, for example, that constitutes tampering with the backflow prevention. So if you bypass the meter, you're automatically up to $70,000 worth of fines, unless you've got a good reason.
Okay.
Is this worth putting on the our Facebook page or in the media that, you know, these are the fines, you know, just, and, you know, the whole community pay, you know, so we still get the same bill from the water board. So whether they're paying, it just means the, you know, more, we've all got to pay more because some people aren't paying their share, so.
There's probably some potential for that, but...
Yeah. Well, thank you, really appreciate it. Any other comments on this report? All right, all those in favour? And that's carried.
Yes.
And that's carried.
Yes.
It's carried, thank you.
So just before we go off, there was a note on that sewer pump stations where we were still not negotiating, but we were still corresponding with the Department of Environment and Sites about a overflow. That has been concluded and they've accepted that we've done the right thing and it's all over and we'll move on. So.
Thank you. Oh, that's good to hear. Thank you. Okay, so we're just going to jump back to a supplementary one again. So this one is 12, doesn't matter what number it is, but it's a request for variation to contract for Mount Isa City Council, RFT 2022-10, primary clarifiers repair replacement. Would someone like to move the officer's recommendation? It's just in the paper copy on page 22 of your supplementary
It's
one.
labelled as 12.1 in the supplementary.
Sorry, I can't turn pages today.
Sorry, through the chair, is anyone moving this or no?
We're waiting for you, Councillor Tully.
Everyone's just looking for it. Has everyone got it now?
Oh, okay, sorry.
Yeah, we've got it.
Okay, let's, would someone like to move the motion?
Yes, please. Thank you, Madam Mayor, that the council accepts and awards a variation of $107,920 excluding GST to the contract Mount Isa City Council RFT 2022-10 primary clarifiers repair replacement.
Thank you. Can I get a seconder for that motion? Councillor Tully, would you like to speak on behalf of this one?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just the previous condition assessments have noted there's a need for future investment to be made to manage our assets effectively, therefore meeting the desired effluent water quality standards. To replace the V-notch weirs with stainless steel plates to improve the longevity of the structure, to replace the old inlet works, concrete repairs at the inlet screen area, sandblast and coat the bypass screens with a layer of epoxy coating. Just with some history on our water quality, I think this is important that we complete these works and just to stay, within the guidelines of the potable water. Thank you.
Any other comments on this one? No? All right, all those in favour?
Yes.
And that's carried. I think I heard Councillor Tully. All right, so that now takes us back on to 12.2, which is the Works and Sewerage Overview Report. Would someone like to move the officer's recommendation, please?
We did 12.2.
Yeah, we just.
Oh, I've just done that one, sorry.
12.3, Mount Isa
12.3, sorry.
Sorry, it's just a numbering issue.
Yep, sorry about that. So that takes us to the Mount Isa Camberwell Cemeteries Policy. Would someone like to move the officer's recommendation?
Yep. I'll move the recommendation that Council resolves to adopt the Mount Isa and Camberwell Cemeteries policy reviewed by King and Company solicitors as presented, and that Council resolves to propose to make local government controlled areas, facilities and roads in brackets amendment subordinate local law in brackets number 1 2022 in support of Mount Isa and Camberwell Cemeteries policy.
Thank you, Councillor Coghlan. Have I got a seconder for that motion?
Second.
Thank you, Councillor Tully. Councillor Coghlan, would you like to speak on behalf of this motion?
Yeah, all Mount Isa City Council is doing on this is just to have a more consistent approach to the operation of both the cemeteries owned and held in trust by Mount Isa City Council. All the policies doing, it's aiming to provide appropriate standards and a consistent approach to the operation for services provided at council-operated cemeteries, which enable the effective delivery of services to meet the community needs. And I would just like to say the staff have been working very hard on this. This is your cemeteries are always a highly emotional area of council to work with, but what we're doing there is to make sure that the people of Mount Isa, have somewhere that they can be very proud of where their loved ones are laid to rest. And I know not only council staff in the office and on the ground are doing all they can to make that a reality.
Any other comments?
Yeah, sorry, Madam Mayor, just through the chair. Yeah, I just think this being a very sensitive issue, I think public consultation is the process that we're going to, and I think the staff have done a great job in how we're going to move forward with this. But I think we're doing the right thing there. Thank you.
Yeah, it just says a series of internal consultation sessions were conducted at the drafting of the Mount Isa Camberwell. So, but it doesn't say we are going out to consultation here, does it?
Through the chair, it's the standard process when you have with the amendment to a local law, we'll be going through that.
Okay. So I think I'll point out that there's myself and Councillor Coghlan are at odds with this policy in the fact that at the moment in the Lawn Cemetery, there are people who have put structures, monuments and different, tributes to their loved ones. And with this policy, I'm hoping that going forward, that with we're coming to the end of that particular lawn, that will grandfather what has already happened there, in the fact that we'll just leave it there, and then with the new burials, that will look at making sure people don't build structures or put things on the graves. And the reason I'm at odds with this is because these structures and tributes have been there for 20 odd years, 22 odd years in some, and I know that the graves that are the most decorated are the graves of children, and some of the tributes have been there with, you know, model cars and the child's very, you know, things that are personal. And I, for one, would not like to see these removed when they've been allowed to happen for 20 odd years. I think going forward, if the council puts that policy forward, then yes, I understand that, you know, sometimes these things blow off and there could be some problems. But for me, I certainly, I know Councillor Coughlin's going to lead the charge with the media on this and the to make sure people are well aware of what she's proposing, because I'm certainly, she wants what's there at the moment removed, and I definitely don't, you know. So again, you know, if we could go back 20 years and we could have stopped it, but we've let it happen. And I guess there's, you know, there's a few issues with the cemetery that I don't think this is the time to bring them up, but no, but there's a lot more to this story, and I think the public have been very forgiving for some of our mistakes, and I think if we're not careful, they'll start pointing out those mistakes if we start trying to be big brother in that respect. But that's the that's different. I just wanted to point that out, that the you know, for me, I believe these items have been there for 20 odd years, and I'm happy to give Councillor Coughlin another chance to speak. But
yes, I don't think the public need to worry about anything, and we will work very closely with all families. And yeah, that's all I'm saying on the matter at the moment.
Thank you. And look, I do think the public will worry, and I personally don't agree with it, and I know a lot of people won't. So that's why I'm making that point. Any other comments? All right. All those in favour? And I'll vote against. Thank you. If I can record that. Councillor Tully?
Yes.
Yes, if you can record mine as a no. Thank you. All right, let's move on. That takes us now to 12.4, which is the Fire Protection Services Contract, RFT 2022-90T. Would someone like to move the officer's recommendation?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The recommendation is the Council awards RFT 2022-90T Fire Protection Services Contract to Louis Fire Protection for the annual contract price of $25,414, excluding GST, according to the terms of contract and scope of works for all council facilities for the period of 24 months commencing 31st October 2022, with the option for a 12-month extension.
Thank you, Councillor Tully. Can I get someone to second that motion?
McRae.
Thank you, Councillor McRae. Councillor Tully, would you like to speak on behalf of this one?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The evaluation panel have assessed the tenders in accordance with the request for tender docs and council procurement policy, and recommend awarding the contract to Louis Fire Protection based on the evaluation criteria.
Thank you. Any other comments? All right, all those in favour?
Yes.
And that's carried. That takes us now to the variation for Mount Isa City Rehabilitation and Reseal, which is 2022 to 07. Would someone like to move the officer's recommendation?
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. The recommendation of council accept and pay the variation claimed by Fulton Hogan for contract 2022-07 of $517,572, excluding GST, for the extra profiling asphalt replacement on Radio Drive, roundabouts including Miles and Simpson Street and West Street.
Thank you. Any other comments?
Second.
Oh, second, sorry.
Stratton.
Thank you, Councillor Stratton. Councillor Tully, any comments?
Sorry, thanks, Joe.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Mayor. It just keeps dropping out here. I might just ask if Renee could just give a bit of background. I did speak to her last week regarding this, but yeah, it just keeps breaking up.
Thank you, Councillor Tully, and through the chair. What has occurred is works have been undertaken by Fulton Hogan on these particular locations. When we started the works in those particular locations, we found there was a number of issues. When to rectify those issues, we couldn't just leave the works incomplete. So to complete that works, there was a variation request that came through from the contractor. That was all.
Thank you. Any other comments, questions on this one?
No.
Okay. All those in favour?
Yes.
And that's carried. And that now takes us to 12.6, which is the retrospective approval for the purchase of a 25-tonne excavator. Would someone like to move that motion?
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. I recommend that Council confirm the actions undertaken by the officers to purchase a 25-tonne Volvo excavator from CJD Equipment Proprietary Limited for the price of $340,000 excluding GST.
Thank you. Can I get a seconder for that motion?
Stratton.
Thank you, Councillor Stratton. Councillor Tully, would you like to speak on behalf of this, or is your audio allowing?
Yeah, sorry, Madam Mayor. Yeah, I just quickly, I have did some reviews on this, and that price is extremely good. So, and unless Renee wants to say some more about this, but yeah, I was certainly happy with that.
Through the chair, there's nothing additional to it.
Yeah, and I just want to mention that this was in the budget, and the opportunity arose to get this particular piece of equipment at a better rate. So I think that's why we had to move quickly, and now we're approving it retrospectively. All right. All those in favour?
Yes.
And that's carried. Thank you. Okay, and unless we haven't got, there's one I'm missing, where we have nil for general business. I'd like to adjourn for...
Can I please just move that council move 14.5 into confidential on the basis that the Act provides for council to deal with matters concerning contracts and staff appointments, and in the case of one item that the council is of the opinion to deal with the matter in open council may directly affect the health and safety of the individuals concerned?
It's already in there.
So I'm moving 14.5 into confidential?
It is in confidential.
It is.
But we actually have to move it to legally have it in confidential?
Why? It's already in confidential. It's in confidential.
Normally it would not be in confidential, except this is just clarifying why it meets the grounds to be in confidential, just so everyone's aware.
Okay, so...
I was advised that this needed to be moved to keep it in confidential, or else it would have to be pulled out of confidential.
Can I just ask who advised you and why wouldn't they advise the chair?
Our local government advisor advised me.
Oh. Hayden, why wouldn't you advise
Because
the
you
chair?
have a conflict of interest with 14.5.
Oh, okay. Okay, all right, yep. And look, I know there's a conflict of interest there, but I can certainly, I'm sure we can move that without being breaching anything. All right, would someone like to move that motion?
I did move it.
All right, can
I'll
someone
second
it?
Coghlan.
Thank you, Councillor Coghlan. All those in favour? And that's carried. All right, so how about we just have a quick adjournment for About that, can I get someone to move that we adjourn the meeting for 5 minutes and then reopen in confidential?
So, moved.
Thank you. Thank you. All those in favour?
Yes.
And that's carried. Sorry about that, everyone. Okay, would someone like to move the motion that council considers the following confidential reports in a meeting close to the public in accordance with section 254J of the Local Government Regulation 2012? 14.1, electric vehicle charging stations licence agreement. 14.2, proposed artwork at Centennial Place. 14.3, retrospective appointment of acting chief executive officer. 14.3 again, 2022-23 community grants round 1 supplementary. 14.4, the appointment of the interim chief executive officer, and 14.5, the office of the independent assessor referral. And there's another one which is 11.8, which is the financial year for 2021-22 Mount Isa City Council closing report. Can I get someone to move that motion, please?
So moved.
And can I get a seconder?
Stratton.
All those in favour?
Yes.
And I now declare the meeting closed. That council moves out of closed council into open council, please.
So moved, Coghlan.
McRae.
Thank you, councillor McRae. All those in favour?
Yes.
And that's carried. Okay, so that takes us now into confidential business items. 14.1, electric vehicle charging station licence agreement. Would someone like to move the officer's recommendation, please?
I'd like to move that council authorise the Chief Executive Officer to further negotiate and then execute the Eureka Electric Vehicle Charging Station Licensing Agreement. That includes an ability for council to insist on removal of the relevant infrastructure at the end of the lease terms, should this be required by council.
Thank you, councillor. Seconder for that?
Stratton.
Second. Barwin.
Stratton, thank you. All those in favour? And that's carried.
Yep.
14.2, proposed artwork at Centennial Place. Would someone like to move the councillor's recommendation?
I'd like to move that council approves the proposed artwork at Centennial Place to be installed, and that council approves proceeding with the procurement of the proposed artwork at Centennial Place.
Seconded, Coghlan.
Thank you. All those in favour?
Oh, are we open again? We need that.
Yep.
We need the door open.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
We need the door open.
And that's carried. 14.3, retrospective appointment of acting chief executive officer. Would someone like to move the officer's recommendation, please?
I can do that. That council retrospectively endorse the appointment of Renee Wallace as acting chief executive officer from Tuesday the 4th of October 2022 to Wednesday the 2nd of November 2022.
Can I get a seconder for that motion?
Stratton.
And Deputy, Stratton Beecher first. All those in favour?
Yep. Yep.
Are we allowed to speak to that or no, because it's confidential? Okay.
Yeah, sorry. Well, we've never done it in the past. I don't know if that is a rule or just something we've always done. Be good to ask Hayden later. Okay. Did I just say carried?
Yeah,
Yes.
Yep. 14.4,
Yep.
The appointment of interim chief executive officer. Would someone like to move the council's recommendation?
Yeah, I'll move that one, Madam Mayor. Council appoint Dale Dixon as interim chief executive officer for a period of 3 months with an extension of up to 3 months subject to satisfactory negotiations regarding terms and conditions of employment.
Can I get a seconder for that motion?
McRae.
All those in favour?
Yep.
And that's carried. And then that takes us to 14.3, which I missed out, which is, do you want to do that one now? Or do the, yep. All right, so
Community grants one.
this is the community grants one, so we'll just get Councillor Tully and McRae to step outside.
Sorry, we just need Councillor McRae and Councillor Tully to formally note their conflict in session.
Sorry, yeah, you're breaking up. Do I leave?
Councillor Tully, you just need to formally note your conflict for this particular item, as it has not been raised before in session, in open session.
I would like to declare a declarable conflict of interest. Declarable, because I am a member of Zonta, so I'll be leaving the room for 14.3.
Thank you.
Sorry, yeah, I've just, you're breaking up there. Is this the one where the eyes are heat is it? Sorry?
Yes.
That's correct.
Yeah, correct.
Yes, so I'll be leaving the room.
What's your conflict?
I've, in the past, sponsored Eyes of Heat.
Thank you, Councillor
Thank
Tully.
you.
Bye-bye, Mr Tully.
Sorry, Shadow, what was that?
He's saying jump off the screen,
You've gotta
please,
jump off the
Councillor Tully.
screen.
You idiot.
So we just need you to log off, Councillor Tully, just for this item to be addressed. Thank you.
You're so slow.
Yeah, back at you, Mr Tully.
Okay, would someone like to move the officer's recommendation?
I'll move the recommendation that council award the following organisations to receive the 2022-2023 Round 2 Community Grants and Sponsorship Funding as listed. Do I have to read them all out, Renee?
Probably best.
Probably
Read them
best.
out.
Okay. Mount Isa, bear with me please. Mount Isa Camp Draft Association Incorporated, kitchen completion, purchase of a dishwasher, 5,000. Football Queensland, Mount Isa Soccer, security cameras, Mount Isa, $5,000. Life Flight Foundation, water rescue training mannequin, $2,015. Mount Isa Rugby League Incorporated, refurbished children's playground, 5,000. Townview State School P&C, purchase of a coffee, popcorn and snow cone machines, $4,697. The total for those community grants were $21,712. For sponsorship, we have the Isa Heat Swimming Club, Mount Isa Heat Swimming Carnival, $1,515. Commerce Northwest Incorporated, 2022 Gemina Northern Outback Business Awards, $3,500. Mount Isa School of Dance Incorporated, A Winter's Tale, $1,837. Isa Highlanders Dance Association Incorporated, 2022 Isa Highlanders Highland Dancing Competition and Outback Titles, $1,500. Zonta Mount Isa 2023 International Women's Day Dinner, $5,000. Total of sponsorship from Mount Isa City Council, $13,352.
Thank you, Councillor Coghlan. Can I have someone to second that motion?
Stratton.
Thank you, Councillor Stratton. All those in favour? And that's carried.
Yep.
And that now moves us to item 14.5, and I have a conflict of interest with this one, and a perceived conflict of interest with this one, and I am involved in that one. So I will leave the room if you want to get councillors back in.
I've texted Councillor Tully.
As Chair, could I move a motion please, that we appoint a councillor from the board to get part of the meeting?
Through the chair, Deputy Mayor, we're still struggling to hear you. Could we move a motion for a councillor to appoint as chair, as we're having difficulties hearing the Deputy Mayor at this point?
Thank you.
I would like to move a recommendation that we appoint Councillor McRae to take over as chair for this part of the meeting due to the difficulties we're having with the online transmission.
Second. Stratton.
Yeah.
Will I just stay here and do that? Okay, would anyone like to move item 14.5, Office of the Independent Assessor Complaint Referral?
Also move that Council receive the report entitled Councillor Conduct Tribunal, Inappropriate Conduct, Complaint Investigation and Recommended Response to Council, and that Council defer for further consideration at the next ordinary meeting.
Can I have a seconder for that motion, please?
Stratton.
Councillor Stratton seconds. All in favour?
Yeah.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, that's unanimous. Thank you.
takes us down to item 11.8. So if you go to your final agenda, you'll find it on, 11.8, I should say. Did I say something different then?
I can move that if you like.
Yep, would someone like to move the officer's recommendation?
That council receives and accepts the financial year 2021-2022 Mount Isa City Council closing report as presented.
Thank you, Councillor McRae. Can I get a seconder for that motion?
Stratton.
Thank you, Councillor Stratton. All those in favour? And
Yeah.
thank you, and that's carried. And that brings us to the end of our ordinary meeting. The time is now 12:44 p.m. and I now declare this ordinary meeting closed. Thank you.